Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. My name is Shaquille. I'm your host for the Shady Youth Podcast, and we have our co-host right next to me. What's your name, bro?
Assalamu alaikum, guys. My name is Tifad.
And right to the left of me is our guest for today, Hama Shahid.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. My name is Hama.
All right. So we have a few things in store for today's podcast. I'm pretty excited. This is our first guest for the Shady Youth Podcast. Very excited. How do you feel about it?
I feel pretty honored. I mean, this is my first time on a podcast, so let's see how it goes.
This is the first time.
Yeah, it's my first time.
Nice. Okay. You had you told me earlier that a couple of your friends asked you to do another podcast, right?
From college, they talked about it, but
It
never happened. So
If it happens, just know you started podcast.
I started here. Yeah, I'll
right
mention
here.
it on the other podcast if I go.
Exactly. All right. So you want to introduce yourself a little bit before you get into?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Hamad. I'm a computer science student. I live in Brooklyn, New York, but I actually go to school at the University of Maryland, so that's out of state. And one of my biggest hobbies is photography. I love doing photography.
You said you were a computer science student,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. You're also computer
I'm
science.
also a computer science student, so that's the similarity right
But for some reason, you're also on the pre-med.
Every spectrum of like.
This is literally like
Yeah.
engineer or I guess computer scientist,
And then a
doctor. All you're missing is like lawyer.
Exactly.
That's really it.
Hopefully that doesn't happen.
Hopefully you don't need a lawyer.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Inshallah, it's a very fruitful conversation, very beneficial conversation for all of us.
Yeah.
Just to start off, so let's go through like your whole day today. What would you do today?
Oh, I mean, I started off the day with Jummah. I prayed at NYU. I met up with some high school friends over there. After that, I went to and I watched a movie at a movie theater. I actually watched the Studio Ghibli film A Castle in the Sky.
Okay, you're familiar with
Yeah.
that, right? Or no?
I'm not really familiar on that one specifically.
Did you watch any like anime movies or?
Yeah, Spirited Away.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
that's a classic.
That's
Yeah.
literally the same studio. Studio Ghibli. It's Castle in the Sky, Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle. That's one of them.
Yeah,
so
actually
that's
the book.
Yeah, so all of them are like classics for Studio Ghibli.
Yeah.
So you said you watched that, right?
Yeah, it was pretty good.
I
liked
had
it.
no idea they were playing them in theaters.
No, apparently they're playing them for like all break. One of
Are
my
you
friends
serious?
hit me up and he was like, "Yo, let's watch this
Damn,
movie," and I was
that's
like, "Yeah,
crazy.
sure, yeah."
That's amazing. I might check one out later this month or something.
Yeah.
So you also checked out another movie earlier this week, from what you told me, right? Star Wars.
Yeah, the newest Star Wars that came out, The Rise of Skywalker. I think that was what
Okay.
the name was.
What was your opinion on it? Because I know it was a very divisive movie.
Okay, like I didn't like as a movie.
Okay.
I guess it's good, but as a Star Wars fan, you're not really gonna appreciate it that much. That's probably the best way to put it.
All right.
Yeah.
Is that your opinion, or is that like from what you've heard from other Star Wars fans?
It's my opinion, and probably other Star Wars fans too
Gotcha.
have been having a similar opinion. So
Okay.
yeah.
You watched any Star Wars
It was
movies?
that bad? No, actually I haven't. I mean, I watched a couple of the movies, but
Okay.
I don't have the way the title works.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, episode 6, episode 7.
Oh, so you have no idea which one you
Exactly.
Okay.
Which one?
All right.
But speaking of it, did you guys watch the Mandalorian
Mandalorian.
on Disney Plus? How was that?
Honestly, I really liked it as a
really
show.
liked it?
You don't even have to be a Star Wars fan, but it's a really good show. I think that's the only reason to get Disney Plus. Just start the
Really?
trial. Yeah, no, honestly.
I mean, there's like the Avengers movies as well, and like all the Marvel.
I mean,
flicks
like
that are there.
most people have watched the Avengers.
That's true.
movies.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Something
I
you
watched
watched in the
the-
movie theaters.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
watched every single one. Yeah,
Exactly.
pretty much. Right. So moving on from the movie aspect, let's talk about movies to photography. That's not a huge jump. Both of you are into photography, right?
Mhm.
Both of you are like pretty passionate about that. You're really into filmmaking as well. You know,
Filmmaking, yeah.
that whole like
Yeah.
photography, filmmaking, videography. You're also into photography.
Yeah.
Let me just ask both of you, what was like, why did you get into it? Because both of you are into like computer science. I don't know like where the jump in from
You
that
see
to
the
like,
correlation.
yeah, like I mean, not, obviously no one has to have like a hobby that correlates
Yeah,
with
yeah.
a career, but like what got you into it? Pretty much, that's my question.
I mean, I've been taking photos ever since like middle school, but that's only because like I learned about like framing, headshots, over the shoulder shots back in middle school.
And over the shoulder, is that literally over the shoulder, like the
It's
shot
it's
that
not
you would take?
it's literally over the shoulder. Yeah, no,
Okay.
but there's
Okay, that's pretty cool.
I learned about framing back in like middle school, and I thought it was really fun, like learning different aspects of
Okay.
photography. And then fast forward to like high school, like in between I might just take like photos on like my dad's camera or just like with my phone.
Gotcha.
Fast forward to high school, I was part of the MIST, the Muslim Interscholastic tournament, right?
Free promo.
Free promo. Yeah, I participated in Miss New York. I was part of Tech Tuckwa. That was my team. And now I didn't do any photography competitions there.
Okay.
But one of the students on our team, he did photography and he actually got first place, and he ended up being my biggest inspiration. Yeah, like honestly, I looked at it and I was like, wow, these are amazing photographs.
We had some really nice photographers, because I also went to Brooklyn Tech.
Yeah.
We had some really nice photographers on the team.
Yeah, and that ended up being my inspiration, because that's like the summer after that I went to Pakistan, and then I started taking so many photos in the entire trip.
Those were some beautiful shots.
And inspiration came from
some really nice
thank
shots.
you. Like the inspiration came from like MIST, because I was looking at these photos and I was like, he's telling a story with these photos. Maybe I can do something similar. Like I have some photography knowledge.
Okay.
And then
this was all on iPhone, or
I actually took all the photos on iPhone.
Okay.
Like I got the newest iPhone and I was like, oh, it'll be kind of fun.
I mean, they take good photos.
It was. I mean,
honestly, I'm an Android guy. Gonna get flamed.
Yeah.
But like seriously, like
iPhone.
Like I'd probably get an iPhone just for the camera.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and then I took the photos there, and then fast forward to college, like right after the summer I started college, and I ended up meeting a photographer at college through the MSA.
Okay.
And I got to try out his like DSLR, and we went to like downtown DC, because I go to school in nearby DC, and I don't know, I just felt so natural at it, or I'm not gonna say like I was such a pro or whatever, it's for my first time, but it just felt like something that I really wanted to do. So then I quickly saved up, got my own DSLR, and I've just been taking photos and just trying to improve ever since then.
Okay. How many cameras do you own currently?
I mean,
more than one, huh?
I'm just like, the thing is that over the years, like cameras have I've abused them and they broke, and then I've gotten new ones, but like I do have like a small collection of film cameras.
Oh, okay.
Only because they're really nice and they're really cheap.
Just to fit the hipster,
Yeah, I've literally sometimes I might just use it as like an accessory, so I might not even use it to like take photos. It's just like a little clothing accessory at that point. But I have gotten them as gifts, so maybe like 3 or 4 film cameras, and then just one mirrorless Sony
really
A7. Yeah.
All right. Now just to like bounce off that question to you, like what made you get into photography?
I mean, I think Hamad.
Or into like video.
I think Hamad has a really good point there when he said inspiration.
Yeah.
I definitely took inspiration. I think my part was I felt like I was trapped. I think the only way to see the world was to show others what things like cameras, drones. I actually own a drone too. What they capture, Hamad is more of a photographer. I'm more of a videographer. It's a little bit difference there.
Okay, right, gotcha. Yeah.
So I do take photography as well.
It's kind of like it's kind of like an art school when you like draw and then like sculpting. That's probably the difference.
Exactly. So I think we tell stories, and there's so much that to know about the world and see. And when you go to countries like Bangladesh, Pakistan, India, the people back there.
Right. Yo, that's a very interesting similarity, because you got into like, you had your whole collection of pictures in Pakistan, right? You made a short film about it.
I made a short film.
Yeah, that was like your very first like kind of travel short film type thing.
Yeah. It was last
year. Was really that's really interesting.
Yeah, so I think people there, they deserve to have their story told,
Yeah.
And sometimes the best story is told through silence. If you look at my my videography, I have no vocals in there.
Right.
And I try to not have music. But if you just look at the raw sound of nature, the trains going by, the people walking by, I'm trying to head towards more of that, but that tells so much stories that us people that live in the urban society, we take for granted. We don't really hear much of that,
For sure.
So definitely, inspiration from people, great photographers.
One thing, sorry to cut you off.
Go
One
ahead.
thing that I really like, the fact that you're not putting any like background music in there, you're not trying to put any like voiceover narration. The audience is able to kind of interpret the story in their own kind of way too, because of that.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
That's one thing that I'm trying to do with photography. I'm trying to show it that whatever photo that I may capture, to one person they may be able to interpret something and have their own story, but another person they may be able to interpret it in a different way. I feel like that's just how art works in general.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Do you think you're gonna stem a little off from taking pictures and maybe get into like another creative field? Or
I have tried video. but the biggest like hindrance is like probably trying to get used to Adobe Premiere.
Okay.
I mean, I'll be honest, that software is like kind of it's a
packed.
learning curve.
It's packed. Yeah,
It's has so many features.
Yeah.
It is a learning curve, but also like
Okay, so I don't know about any of this. Tell me like what's the kind of like problem with it? What's the
no,
issue?
it's not that. It's just that with a photo, like you take a photo, I take it
Okay.
raw, and then I like import it onto my
Mhm.
laptop on Adobe Lightroom, make my changes, change it over to Adobe Photoshop, make some more smaller, more subtle changes, and then that's it.
Right.
But with Premiere, it's
like a whole process.
I like literally just it's not just that, it's also before you even edit,
Uh-huh.
you need to first realize that taking a photo and trying to create a story with that is a million times like more different than taking a video.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah,
It's a
'cause-
completely different method.
Yeah, because I want to create like be able to tell stories with videos, but I'm
Gotcha.
also kind of unsure where to start.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because I could.
Yeah.
To me, like the way I take photography now is
Mhm.
that I try to take photography as if they are screenshots from a film.
Okay.
But I'm not used to recording a whole film.
The whole film.
Exactly. So
Okay,
that's like
that
my
makes sense.
biggest.
That
Yeah,
definitely
yeah.
makes sense,
So
yeah.
like I'm actually trying to make my photos look cinematic as if they literally are like
Right.
a screenshot from a film.
Yeah.
But I just don't know how I'm gonna be able to make a film of my own and what type of what I want to capture. It's a little bit different, you know.
Gotcha.
And I really appreciate the honesty here. I'm actually on the second step. I actually do the videos. Premiere, like you said, is a very, it's a very hard learning curve.
Yeah.
I've been doing Premiere for the last 3 years now, so I would consider myself an intermediate to advanced user. But yeah, definitely, every time you make a video, you literally have to have the whole plot line set up before you even film the video.
Exactly. Yeah.
And sometimes what happens is when you're actually exporting a video, you're like, no man, I really wanted to add something else in there.
Yeah.
In these render times, they take up so, unless you have a really beefy computer.
Yeah.
These render times, they take so much out of the way that you're like, you have to get it right the first time.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. So you kind of have to storyboard everything.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay, so it's a lot of like pre-game work.
Pre-planning. I know,
Yeah.
like in Lightroom, you could literally upload your photo, make changes, and be like, oh, I have a completely different idea. Let me
Yes,
make another.
exactly.
You can come up with inspiration on the spot when it comes to a
Exactly.
photo,
Gotcha.
but video, I think, takes like so many more stages of development, and also that's why I have like a lot of respect for people that do video, because if they can come out with something really nice, you should know that there's so much effort put
Right.
into it. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Definitely a lot of effort.
So speaking about like inspiration, you've been to a few different places in your span of many years of life.
What do you-
I was thinking I was thinking of the word, but yeah. So you've been to a few places. You've been to Pakistan. You've been to Maryland. You traveled from New York.
I
to
feel like a
Maryland
nomad
for,
sometimes. Yeah.
for college.
but,
Yeah, and then
yeah.
recently you went on a Turkey trip, right?
Oh yeah.
You want to talk about that?
Turkey is
So
beautiful.
I have a few friends that went on that specific Turkey trip, and they can't stop, like, they don't shut up about it.
Turkey's beautiful.
It's even though it's
bro.
been like 6 months.
My favorite part was the cats, but like.
Okay.
Okay.
That's the best part about any trip, to be honest. But
The cat.
Yeah, the cats.
Yeah, but the Turkey trip was great because it was through the Turkin Foundation. It's basically a foundation that helps students and other people just try to like see Turkey, witness the history,
Mhm.
get to know your religion better. It's a great
Gotcha.
opportunity for Muslims to go abroad and just learn more
do you
about.
think it's a propaganda trip?
to an extent, I think it is because
They
they.
have one for North Korea too, if you want to go.
Wait, seriously?
I'm down.
Yeah, probably.
Do they actually?
They actually
Is it
do,
free?
But you're not allowed to bring
yes.
any cameras in there. You have to actually buy the cameras in the country. So
I mean, look,
you
it-
can only film like what they let you
Exactly.
film.
I mean, if you're gonna save money on flight and all that, so you might as well buy a camera.
you might not return though.
It's a free trip to North Korea?
It's not. You have to go through a lot of
Okay.
Security clearance and all that.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
Well, the Turkey trip was free, so I guess that was worth it.
yeah, it
Propaganda
was.
or
I
not.
mean, it was free. It was a great experience. One of my favorite thing about it was, I mean, of course, like cats are great, but like the fact that I didn't know anyone going inside the trip. A lot of people did not know each other.
Oh wow.
Mm.
Yeah, so there was around like 20, 30 of us, maybe 40, like around 30-ish people, like other kids, students, and all of us by the end of the trip, we all became friends with each other. So we didn't know
Right.
each other. But
How
we all,
long was this trip?
The trip was about a week.
Okay.
So yeah, it was, the thing is that we all got to spend some really great time with each
Right.
other. We didn't have any like fights or anything like that. You know, when you're traveling, it brings the worst out of a person. The thing is that
Right.
everyone really got along like super well. Like maybe here and there was like ups and downs,
There's a
but
saying, it says like you don't know a person truly until you travel with them.
honestly,
Yeah.
like that is 100% true, because I know some friends like in college like, yeah, they're great, and then we have a road trip, and then
And then
boy, this
all
other
of-
side
yeah,
comes
yeah,
out of
yeah.
them. I don't even
Yeah.
know what
Car
to say.
breaks down.
and then like who do you
Yeah,
rely on,
yeah.
right?
Exactly.
You see like the worst of a
Like
person.
it was your idea. Why did you do this?
Exactly. Yeah. No. A lot of stuff, because people look, traveling is not
Right, you're pretty much living with that person, right?
Yeah, not just that. Traveling is stressful, dude.
Mm.
Like, think about it. Like,
Yeah.
just checking into a hotel is like, it's not fun. You know,
Right.
getting to your hotel is not fun. So there's like,
For sure.
it's, you know, traveling isn't all fun and relaxation. So people get stressed. That stress obviously adds to anger and
Gotcha, yeah.
frustration.
Yeah.
You could see that in a person. You see how they
Definitely.
react. But honestly, like, alhamdulillah, that trip was amazing. Everyone was, to the most part, pretty nice, pretty
Yeah.
great with each other. And the best part is, I'm still friends with a lot of these people today. We still
That's
meet
cool.
up.
That's dope.
So
yeah.
exactly,
That's
that's
really
my
dope.
favorite part. The fact that I went with the people I did not know at all, and I came out with feeling like a family at that
That's
point.
amazing.
Yeah,
Exactly, yeah.
definitely amazing.
On the itinerary.
Yeah.
Like what type of places did you go to?
So of course we stopped at Istanbul for like around 3 days, I believe.
Okay.
And then from Istanbul we went to the capital Ankara for about 1 night, 1 day.
Mm-hmm.
Ankara we got to see the presidential palace. In Istanbul we got to see like all the major mosques.
Did you
Hagia
did you
Sophia.
meet any of the staff there?
Yes,
in
we
the
did
presidential
actually.
palace?
So we met the chief of staff. We were supposed to meet the president, but unfortunately he couldn't be there because he had to attend a funeral in Egypt.
Okay.
Yeah. So we did meet the chief of staff. We had the opportunity to ask them a lot of questions, and they were pretty transparent and open about like answering these questions as well. I asked them actually about the situation in China with the
Yeah.
Muslims, you know, and
Right.
what Turkey's
Yeah,
doing.
bro, that's,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
And even of course, like they can't tell you everything. It's
right.
a
Yeah.
huge political thing, but the fact that I like that they're trying to be transparent about it, you know, to an extent at least. So it was nice getting to actually ask them questions and see what they had to say.
Okay.
And then after Ankara, we went to Cappadocia. I don't. We,
My bad. Shahid, you were saying?
Oh yeah, so the entire Turkey trip, we saw Istanbul for
Okay.
around 3 days. We saw beautiful masjid, amazing alleyways, streets. It was very, very nice city.
How are the
And lots of cats.
how are the masjids there?
The masjids are honestly so beautiful. Like it's crazy because there are masjids on every corner of the street. And the masjids on every corner of the street, unlike New York's, like we might have some basement masjids, we might
Right.
have some
Yeah,
over
it's,
there.
in New York, it's like very diverse.
Yeah,
like,
over
we literally
there,
have like an apartment
even
compared to like
I know,
you know
like-
like a huge dome.
Exactly.
Masjid, you know?
What I love is the fact that the attention to detail for even the average masjid there.
Yeah.
The average masjid there, like if you ever been to the DNet Center in near DC.
I've seen pictures of it.
Yes.
Yeah, I've seen pictures
That's
of it.
how the average masjid in Turkey looks.
That's amazing.
Exactly.
Dude.
And now you have the
wow.
bigger like
Because the
Hagia
Janet Center
Sophia
has like a
Blue
whole
Mosque.
like courtyard dome.
Yeah, okay. I mean, they don't have a whole courtyard, but they
Okay.
do have the whole dome and the
Right,
minarets,
gotcha.
everything. It's very beautiful. I really like the country a lot.
Uh-huh.
Istanbul was great, and then from Istanbul we went to Ankara.
Okay.
Ankara was the capital. We got to talk to the chief of staffs there, ask them questions, see the presidential palace. It was
Gotcha.
a very, very
Yeah,
interesting
Did you see
time.
Erdogan or no?
No, unfortunately, I didn't see Erdogan that time. I do see him later in New York for
Okay.
another conference that they
Gotcha.
invited us out to. And we got to ask questions with the chief of staff and Erdogan when I saw him later in
Do
New
you
York City.
think Turkey is a safe country for us Westerners? Do you think-
100%.
Safe
It's a safe country, yeah.
I feel like Turkey is probably like the most safe Muslim country right now, right? Or
I mean, I wouldn't say the most safe Muslim country because there's a lot of safe Muslim countries out there. If you think about
okay,
it.
yeah, but like
Yeah.
in terms of like probably like for Westerners,
It's
I
honestly a
guess,
very
like,
safe
yeah,
country. Like you'll be totally fine there.
Yeah.
That country is pretty like liberal. You might think like, oh my god, Muslims like, oh, Sharia law. Like that is not true at all. It's a very open country. Turkish culture is amazing. People there are lovely.
The food is amazing too.
Food. Okay, interesting thing about the food.
I've heard some
Very mixed
controversy
things
about
because
the food.
Turkish food is great.
Uh-huh.
One thing I noticed is that a lot of the restaurants there don't have sauce. So
It's very
when you
dry.
eat, yeah, so their meat is actually very dry.
Very dry. Wow.
Yeah, which is very, very
You think
surprising.
Do you think
Yeah.
moist food is a Western thing?
No, bro. Like we have sauce on our food. That's not true at all.
Yeah, South Asia is full of like.
We have so many sauce.
Yeah,
No,
okay.
sauce was important because your food was like dry, unless if your meat is like really juicy and all
That's
that.
true.
Then,
Yeah.
but yeah, the food was still really good nonetheless.
It's just the sauces you're missing.
Yeah, it's just because over here Turkish restaurants do offer sauces.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Exactly, they all do, and then you
I've
would
never been to a
expect it
Turkish
there.
place.
There's a great one in Astoria. It's called Truva, but yeah, they just didn't really have it there, so it was kind of a little confusing thing. But anyways, from Ankara we went to Salt Lake. That was really nice, or maybe the Salt Lake was before Ankara, but we went to Salt Lake. It was very beautiful. Got to see the Turkish countryside. Then we went to Cappadocia. Cappadocia is a very ancient city, so we got to see a lot of we got to see this underground tunnel area where people used to live, and then we also got to see the hot air balloons.
Hot air balloons.
That is scenic. It was most.
Did you go on them?
Yes, I did.
You
get
went
to
on
go,
them.
I did get to go on them. It was an incredible experience. I literally, when I was on them, I was listening to the soundtrack from the movie Up.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, I was literally, because I was like, look, I'm seeing all these hot air balloons. Like, I gotta get into the movie. It was honestly one of the most perfect moments, like right there. It makes me emotional, kind of. One thing, like I just really wish that I was there with like friends that I knew. I mean, I was there with like 2 other people that I knew on the trip, but I like close friends, so you could like. So you can like share the experience together, because I feel like when you're around the people that you like really care about and then it makes everything a million times better.
So how does the hot air balloons work? Is it every day that's held, or
they do it every day, I believe, but like the thing is that they do it during like Fajr time, so you see the sunrise. So you went up there, seeing the sunrise, and then sat down once the sun's like completely up.
You know what I
Yeah.
I don't know how my mind works. I'm just thinking like what's the little ruling on praying in a hot air balloon? Like, how would you pray?
Dude, there was no space. There was literally no space.
I'm not saying
you're praying and it's turning around.
I'm not saying you'd have to, but like, actually no, it'd probably be the ruling like same one as an airplane.
It's probably the same ruling.
It's probably the same, yeah.
Because like I think there was like a Malaysian astronaut in the International Space Center.
Oh yeah,
like,
dude, no. I was legit
like imagine like praying and then like rotating. You're turning at that point.
There's like, is there like 8 or 10 Muslim astronauts in the space station right now, or something?
I'm honestly not sure, but like, wow, that's a lot of.
There's a video on YouTube.
Representation.
There's a video on YouTube like literally showing how these guys pray. It's insane.
What do they do?
I don't know. I didn't check it out.
It's crazy.
Because I want to check it out.
Space stations, first off, is going very fast.
Exactly.
And then zero gravity.
Yeah.
You're rotating. You can't control.
Exactly.
You know, like.
Dude,
And then wow, now you're like going into.
No, that's probably a very out of body experience.
Yeah.
Like, you know how like stories of like Sufis like levitating. Like
Oh yeah.
I'm thinking of that kind of thing.
That's another thing about Turkey. We got to the last city we went to was Konya. It was a Sufi city. We actually got to see the Sterling dancer. One of my favorite
dervishes, right?
Yeah, rolling dervishes. It was probably it was almost tied to Istanbul for me just because of the whole experience.
Oh wow.
But it's my second favorite city in like Turkey at that point, because it's it's a very like religious focused city, like especially with Sufism.
Right.
It's like, for my Pakistanis out there, if you know Pakistani history, it's like Multan. Multan is also a very like Sufi centered city.
Okay,
so
explain what Multan is to the 2 Bengalis here.
And Multan is a city. It's in between Lahore and Karachi. So Karachi is like
is Karachi a bit more northern?
No. Karachi's all the way at the south.
Oh,
It borders the ocean. Lahore is more
Gotcha.
northern.
Okay.
It's very close to Islamabad, and then Multan's kind of in the middle, but closer to Karachi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
And I've never been to Karachi. I've never been to Multan, but that's like some Pakistani history that I kind of know of. It's
gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. So you mentioned that. Well, you mentioned to me before that when you were applying to the Turkey trip, you mentioned Sufism in your application.
Yeah, because Sufism is very interesting. I'll be honest, because like I looked up on Sufism. It's not. Some people think like, oh, like you're a Sufi Muslim, like it's a different sect. Like I don't think that's necessarily true, because a lot of the Sufi aspect is like trying to be one with God,
Right.
Trying to connect with God, trying to get rid of like worldly desire. It's very and that's something that's just similar with Islam in general. Right. So Sufi practices and Sufi ideology is with like your regular everyday Muslim,
Right.
And I really like that, because there's also a lot of culture in
You know what I think of like the whole ascetic lifestyle? I think of it as like the OG minimalist movement.
OG. What do you mean by minimalistic?
Minimalism has kind of like been like a rising popularity,
Trend.
like rising trend, rising
Trend,
movement
yeah.
in
Yeah,
recent
yeah.
times. Have you heard of like Matt Diavella or
Machiavello?
He's a YouTuber.
yeah, he's a YouTuber.
Oh, I thought you were
He's-
talking about some like Renaissance art.
No.
Machiavello?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
Machiavello.
Sorry. Yeah.
Nah, but he was like he's a YouTuber, but
Okay.
he's very like big on the whole minimalist kind of movement. He has a documentary on Netflix actually. Like that's a very like huge accomplishment for him.
Okay.
So the whole minimalist movement, I guess, in his words, is more of like focusing less on like the things that you just don't care that much about. So like something he does is like he doesn't care about how he looks, right?
Yeah.
No, he does care about how he looks.
You should.
He doesn't care
I
about the
feel
clothes
like-
he wears, right?
Yeah.
Oh, he's pretty jacked, so like, he
Oh.
cares about how he looks, but he doesn't care about like the clothes or how he dresses himself that much. So all he does is wear like the same shirt, jeans, and shoes every single day.
The same shirt.
Well, not the
jeans,
same
and shoes.
exact, but the same color of jeans, the same color of
That's
shoes.
like a cartoon character
That-
wearing
exactly.
the same like.
Bro, but you see like a lot of
I don't know.
successful people also wear that. Like Mark Zuckerberg, he has the same hoodie and
Okay,
jeans
I
and
don't
shirt,
think that's a
right?
good example at all. Because Mark
Okay, right,
Zuckerberg's
yeah.
kind of
Yeah,
weird,
he's kinda
honestly.
weird, bro.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he looks like
in-house
a.
bum.
I wouldn't say that's good, just
Yeah.
because I remember I was.
I mean, bro, but like how old is he? Like in his early 30s, he has a multi-billionaire company. Okay, I'm not saying the clothes have an effect on.
I
like,
wouldn't
his
say
success, but
that like just because you're copying how a billionaire might live,
Right,
have a
right,
life
right.
aspect
You'll be
doesn't
a
mean
billionaire.
because I used to work at a startup where my CEO tried to do this. He tried to like mimic Mark Zuckerberg, mimic
Lifestyle.
Steve Jobs, and I'm like, just because you're mimicking their lifestyle and like their food diet and like even like how they wear their clothes doesn't mean you're gonna be like them.
Exactly.
Exactly.
For sure. Do you think it's? I think like how I like kind of understood that whole clothing thing was like just reinforcing habits. So when you have like habits in your day, it kind of puts a set mold
That-
into your schedule.
That is important, but I feel like if you're wearing the same clothes, to me, it just feels like you have no creativity. I'll be honest.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like to. One thing with clothes that I
But
like.
what if someone doesn't care about that? Like they just want to get into the grind.
I mean, yeah,
get into like their business.
you
just,
could do that too, but I'm just saying, like, if you specifically went out of your way to
Okay,
only buy
yeah.
the same,
Gotcha,
then
yeah.
I feel like they're doing it on a purpose. They're doing it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're focusing on like that instead of like
Exactly.
focusing on actually,
If
corrective
you
habits.
really didn't care about
Right.
like what you were wearing, then at like career fairs you would just get all the free T-shirts,
Yeah.
use that throughout the year, and that's it. You call it a day, But like, if you specifically choose only to wear like this specific color, then you're trying to set up a brand of yourself, and you're trying to set up a trend.
like a cartoon character.
You're actually trying to set up a trend
somebody
at that
drew
point.
him. They'll draw him with that,
Exactly,
clothes,
yeah.
Exactly. So
It's also like a trend. Like, oh yeah, I'm only gonna wear one thing. Like, if Kanye started doing that, I guarantee you, people will start
so
following
many
it
people
like a
do
trend.
that, Yeah.
But I feel like
Exactly.
if Kanye started doing that, it would be literally like the most expensive thing still.
I mean, yeah, but like, I don't know. I'm just saying, like,
And I get
yeah.
Well, okay, so the whole clothing thing, I feel like that's an example everyone's gonna like refute pretty easy. But his whole like Matt Diavella's message was all about like investing in the things you truly care about,
Mhm.
and siphoning off money from like the aspects of your life that you don't really care that much about. Like clothing, he didn't really care about. Let's say like transportation, like he has a pretty dingy car, but then like he puts so much money into his equipment, into his quality of videos, let's say into like storage or whatever. So
Mhm.
like let's say like you care a lot about your equipment, right? Like you've
Yeah,
invested
of
a lot of
course,
money
a lot, yeah.
into that. But yeah, so that's kind of one thing that I'm starting to focus more on, because like I was telling you before that a lot of my money is not, it doesn't really go away through like big purchases.
Goes on like burgers. And
Yeah, it goes through like
Burgers.
frequent purchases that kind of add up. Like
They
Yeah,
add up.
burgers.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
look at your bank account, you're like, what
Yeah,
yeah,
happened?
dude, I legit looked at my bank account for the last month because I've been eating out like crazy
Yeah.
last month, because I wasn't home a lot for like during final season, because I was just in the library literally, and I would just like eat out a ton. And then like as soon as break started, I would just like be outside like with my friends or whatever. And we, dude, I saw that thing and I cried.
I know it's crazy because you don't even really think of it when you're doing small purchases. For sure. You're just like, oh, it's $10.
But they add up quickly.
Oh, it's $5. Like just for example, today $10 my Metro card purchase. I put $10 in the card, and then it was like $10 for lunch. Right? Because that's how much it costs these days in the city. Yeah, and then some friends are like, hey, let's grab like dessert together. And then we go get dessert. Oof. Dessert is like, you're like, oh, it's like, you would think like, oh, it's like only $7, $6 or $7. You're like, it's under $10. It's it's not bad. But it's one of those restaurants where you have to tip as well. And then the tip adds up. And all, it's everything adds up. And then by the end of the day, you already spent like over $30 just one day.
Exactly. Just one day. And then like, let's say you do this like maybe, okay, you don't have to do it like,
you don't have to get dessert
like every single day, but let's say you do it like twice a week.
Exactly.
That's still $60.
Okay, but I'm not gonna be twice a week. Like
I know, but like let's say $60
it ends up being way more.
And like a whole month, you spend $240 on food from outside.
Exactly.
That's
just food from outside.
Yeah,
is
just
enough
food from outside.
Exactly. Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy. I mean, I guess like
meal prep. Important.
I'm starting to like see the wisdom. Like my mom, like she would tell me a lot. Like, yo, stop eating outside. Like, just eat here. And plus, like. Okay, so the other thing is like as soon as I get home from outside, my mom still makes me eat. So that's already bad.
That is all. Yeah, I know. You're
so it's just like there's no point of wasting so much money on outside food to get full, and then like when I get home, I still have to eat like bath bath as in rice and like typical like desi food.
I mean, I think we're pretty lucky to have our parents.
Exactly. I'm glad for that.
A lot of people, they don't have parents that look after them like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
They just get a shelter, and that's pretty much it.
Like Uber Eats something.
Exactly. Yeah. They have to go out every single day of life. That's why the market exists.
I feel like a lot of young people that move out as soon as like they turn 18, like as soon as they
I can't
exit college.
Ramen noodles, right?
Yeah, like ramen noodle.
Ramen.
It's
ramen,
right?
for me.
It's ramen.
It's dollar cup noodles, dude.
Yeah, so like like they eat like ramen noodles on a daily basis, or maybe like if you get like a job and like let's say you're living in college, like your expenses with college are kind of like paid for, so you're eating outside like pretty much every day.
Yeah, right? That's pretty much how it is for me.
I think that's why. Sorry about that.
No, that's pretty much how it is for me. Yeah.
I think that's why it's important that I think we should learn how to cook. I think cooking is a very good skill set to have.
It's very important. Like, unfortunately, I can't cook at my current place where I live at college, but that's something what I want to do. And it's not that expensive. Like, getting groceries to last for the whole week, meal prep, you're going to save so much money.
You'll be surprised how long it lasts.
And also, like, if you make it, it's a routine. It kind of gets kind of fun, too. I'm watching like so much of Anthony Bourdain lately on Netflix. So like I'm just like yeah, unfortunately, but he's like a really inspirational person for me right now because he's combining food and traveling, like two things that I pretty much love. Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's that's just like a side thing, but I think it's not just food. Money management in general, especially our age, is so important. Just putting your money aside so that you can save it for later. Because like we have like college debt, education is like very important for us. In the future, if you want to like invest in a house, it's important to start saving up some money now so you can in the future, instead of like spending all your money on the new Jordans or Yeezys. I mean, like, although we want to eat out, although we want to have fun and do all that type of stuff, I feel like it's important to have a budget that you can enjoy yourself, but also that you shouldn't be splurging, because at the end of the day, like,
also like I think I don't know, people like, I think we're just not taught enough how to make more money rather than just like the traditional means of like getting a job and then that's gonna be like your only source of income, right? There's like others like
there are other ways.
Some of the best of times,
right? Like there's like other avenues for income right now, like like property or I don't know much about like investing or the stock market. You know a good ton.
So I actually invest myself too. I've invested in crypto stocks, blue chips. If you guys know about that, also looking into rental right now, real estate.
Right.
So hopefully that works out. But like Shaquille said, I think we go too much of the traditional route, and that's not a bad thing. But I think
for sure, dude. Like obviously a good amount of your income should just come from a stable job.
Yeah. But I think it's like a rat race. Sorry to offend anyone. It's like a rat race in my opinion. You know, I don't see myself doing the 9 to 5. You know, after graduate. Even with a CS degree, I don't see myself working in an office. You know,
So
working
do you
on
want to
these big
like
projects.
start up your own business or
Exactly.
something? Yeah, I see
so
that. Yeah.
Hopefully that, because once you have, there's this great quote that I heard. You're only free when you're making money and you're sleeping,
Oh, wow.
and none of your time is spent.
That's-
That's when you're
yeah.
free.
Yeah.
Even
Yeah.
if you're a millionaire and you still have to spend time on it, you're still not free. You're only free when you're making money, but you're not spending any time doing it.
But I feel like if you love your job, like it's gonna.
Yeah, of course.
If you like what you do, I think
course.
there's different interpretations on it, honestly. Cause
Okay,
like,
right, yeah.
yeah, because some people may just be trying to get the regular software engineering 9 to 5
Yeah,
job,
sure,
but other
yeah.
people want to make it their life. Like, what if their
Definitely.
job is like literally just to go into office? That's what they want to do. They
Yeah,
wanna-
exactly.
Exactly. To them, it's
Everyone-
just more than money, you know.
Exactly.
Then, yeah.
People has different interpretation of happiness. You know, if we
Mhm.
want to segue to happiness at the end
Yeah,
of
yeah.
the day, you know. So
Yeah.
I think that if you like doing something and if you have a steady source of income with it, go ahead.
For sure.
But if you think that if it's only bringing you happiness, you're not able to, keep yourself comforted,
Yeah.
then that's not a really good position to be in, you know?
Yeah.
I feel
Absolutely.
like that's a good note to kind of end on. Like, just try to do things that will constantly make you happy and
Yeah.
just live for yourself, man. That's
Live
really
for
it.
yourself,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not all about money. Like,
For
yeah,
sure.
it is a rat race, but
Yeah.
also don't make it seem like your entire life is gonna revolve around
Depend on
money.
it, yeah.
Yeah, for
It's there's a lot of other things to look out for in life.
sure. Yeah.
So.
And I pray that we can attain some level of happiness in this world, and obviously in the hereafter.
Hereafter.
And, inshallah, we can get to that level of just inner contentment and inner peace. And yeah, with that, I want to thank you, Shahid, for coming through, bro.
Thank you for having me. Like, it's a
Yeah,
lot
no
of
problem,
you.
man.
It's a
Like,
lot of fun.
inshallah, we have you on for more episodes as well, and
More
Yeah.
life stories.
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And with that, assalamu alaikum, guys. That's the end of today's episode.